Hi, team. It's Chad here with Living the Dream Real Estate Group. And many of you in the last little while, you've been asking the question, how do I get my first purchase? How do I get into this market? That is a challenge. And we've heard from many of you that have their children that are trying to get into a home or that are looking at purchasing their first home. And many of you are looking at it from one of our other podcasts and talking about what is happening in the market right now. We're seeing a lot of opportunity for people to get in. But the challenge that we're finding is that what they feel is that they're or in this insurmountable task. And I want to break down some of that for you today and talk about some of the misconceptions that are out there with regards to the first time purchasing. So today with us, we have Jeff Shinkewski, who's with a senior mortgage specialist with BMO, and he's going to unpack some of these things and some of the special incentives that first time buyers have in purchasing homes. So let's get into it. All right, team. Yes, today with us, we have the wonderful Jeff Shinkewski. And Jeff, why don't you just make a quick introduction? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you're with, and what you do?
Of course. Thank you, Chad. Hey, everyone. My name is Jeff. I'm with the Bank of Montreal. I'm a senior mortgage specialist. Been with BMO now for 4 years, broker channel for a year as well. Seen a lot from pandemic to low rates to high rates and everything in between. I love what I do. And thank you so much for having me, Chad.
Awesome. Well, you know what? It's always a pleasure. And to have people that we can bring on to help our clients and our constituents, it's really great that we can have people like yourself part of our team. So thank you very much for joining us. So just, Jeff, as we elaborated or we talked a little bit earlier about some of the things that we have for our clients that they're facing right now is they're looking at trying to get into this marketplace and they're seeing that it can seem insurmountable, that they just aren't able to get into it. And especially now for the first time purchasers, it really does seem like it just can't happen. And you know, I know when we got talking about this the other day, we found that there are some options and there are some things that people can be doing and some incentives that are out there for first time purchasers that they just might not be aware of. So my hope is today that you and we can unpack some of those things and we can talk about how these can be utilized by our first time purchasers so that they can really take advantage of where we're at for our pricing right now, because today, this time of year is a perfect time to be getting into the market where we're seeing some properties that are really good values, but we need to take advantage of that. So Jeff, why don't you, we talked about 5 different ones that we might be able to do. So why don't we go through those? Why don't you outline what the 5 are, and then we'll go into them in detail. How about that?
Of course. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you, Chad. Okay, so there are five things, 5 topics to talk about today. The first one is the property transfer tax. So this is just BC related. So a lot of my clients from outside of BC, when they're tagged with this bill, they're very confused. So we'll talk about that. BC does stand for Bring Cash. Then we're going to talk about the newly built home exemption from property transfer tax as well. Another one is the home buyers incentive. We have another one, it's the home buyers plan for RSPs for down payments. And the last one is brand new to this year. It's the tax-free home savings account, which enables us to save a little bit of money tax-free to put towards the purchase of a home.
Okay, well, yes, some of those sound familiar. So let's get into it. So why don't we start out with we're going to start off with the property transfer tax. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is and what the incentive is?
Yeah, everyone's favorite. So the property transfer tax is a tax that's put on the purchase price of a property. So it normally is like 1.5% of your purchase price is going to be your property transfer tax that you do owe. So when you're working with your budget, one thing to note is that mortgage lenders like myself, we cannot include property transfer tax amount into your mortgage. That's going to be a separate payment. So you'll have your down payment and then what they call your lawyer's closing costs, and that will include your property transfer tax. Now, good news is that for first-time home buyers, there's a couple of exemptions here for property transfer tax. One is that you have to be a first-time home buyer, okay? So you cannot have owned a property, they say anywhere in the world, kind of hard to prove, but definitely in Canada. So please be aware of that. So you can't own it in Canada. Purchase price is got to be 500,000 for a full exemption or lower, and it's got to be your principal residence, and you have to be a Canadian citizen. So those are some big topics that we can dive into, obviously at a later date, and there's lots of websites available for it. You can get partial exemptions if it is a little bit over 500,000. So the max cap is $525,000. So if you can qualify, definitely take it. It's just more money back into your jeans that you can now do and put towards your new purchase or whatever else you want to do.
Yeah, when you bring that up, that's why when you're seeing out there in the marketplace, so you're seeing it may be some listings on realtor.ca, or maybe some of the ones that you received from me in those automated searches, you're going to see those ones that are 495 or maybe at 510. Even if they're at 525,000, let's not look at those ones, because we can negotiate those down as long as we can get it under that $500,000 mark. That's especially where we're going to see this being utilized. Okay,
Absolutely.
That's great, Jeff. Okay, the next
Sorry,
one.
one more thing to note is that if you
Sure.
do just here in the Okanagan, there is a lot of First Nation leasehold land. So if you are
Oh yeah.
purchasing on leasehold, there actually isn't any property transfer tax. It is exempt from leasehold land.
hmm And there are. It is, yes. It's something that we can unpack another time, perhaps. One of the
Yeah.
things we can be talking about is leasehold land. Is that it does actually make things quite affordable when
hmm
you start to look at some of the options, and leasehold may be a real legitimate opportunity for some people. So that's good. Thank
Absolutely.
you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
The
my
second
pleasure.
one I had here on my notes is that you had one for the newly home built exemption.
Yeah, so this definitely works in certain parts of BC. It sometimes doesn't pertain to some larger builds in a market that these prices may not pertain to it, but it's a newly built home exemption from property transfer tax. It must be your principal residence, and it must have a fair market value of under $750,000. So there is partial exemptions allowed for it if it's a little bit over 750, but 750 is going to be your target amount for your newly built exemption from property transfer tax.
Okay, so the same thing applies if we can see something that is at maybe 775 and it's brand new construction, we can potentially negotiate that down to 750 or 749, and in
Absolutely.
doing so, that's where this can apply.
Yeah, and if you look at 1.5% on 700 grand, that's 10,000 bucks. It's
Mhm.
not chump change. So that 10,000 could probably go towards something better than property transfer tax.
Of course, for sure, we love that. All right, and on my notes here, our third one was home buyers incentive with the government's doing a matching.
Mm. So this one's a lot. So I'm just going to go into point form, and then
Okay.
maybe once we upload this, you can put some links for some websites. This one's awesome because it's actually the government will match your down payment percentage. So you can put down 5% or you can put down 10%, and then the government will match based on what you've put down. It's not a second mortgage. So just, you got to make sure it's not a second mortgage or in second position. It's just a loan that the government now has on title. So with that being said, couple rules to note it is that your household income maximum is $120,000. And then this program will be honored if the purchase price of the property is maximum 4 times your household income. So the maximum household income that you can have to make this program work is 120K, and the maximum purchase price is 4 times that, which is 480,000. So I've been in the business now for a while, done hundreds of deals. I would say people that can qualify this, maybe 25% do take it because they can, right? And if you can, all it does is that it will reduce your monthly payment because now you have put down a larger down payment. Now, one thing that CMHC, the provider of this program, what they're working on is allowing Vancouver and Toronto to have properties more than 480. So right now they're working with $750,000 for those two markets because trying to find a place for 480 is pretty tough down there in those two markets. Now, one thing to note is that this loan has to be paid back. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it either gets paid back within 25 years of the full amortization, or when you sell the property. And the way that the government gets you is if you purchase the property, say for 500 or say for 480, and then you sell it 5 years later for 450, so that percentage that you've lost on your purchase price, that'll be taken off the amount of loan that you've now been given by the government. So say they loaned you, say 20 grand and you lost, say 5%. Well, now you only owe them, I'm going to do some quick math, 5% less of 20 grand. And,
Yeah.
I think that's 15 grand or 16 grand off the top of my head. So, just to note that if you lose money and you have to pay it back, the government will lose money with you. Now, where
Mm.
they get you is if you've made money, say 20%, then you're going to pay back that loan and add 20% on top of that. So they'll get you either way, but some people that really want to do this, it's just to really make your monthly payments lower because the government is giving you an interest-free loan to help you out with your down payment.
Yeah, and that would really make sense. Back to what we were talking, what you mentioned there about what your down payment or what you were able to put down as a lump sum at the beginning, it'll just make
Mm-hmm.
those payments a little bit less. So the fact that you can be keeping the payments down, even though
Mm-hmm.
you might have when you increase value, that you might owe a little bit more at the end. When you balance everything out, it still might make a lot of sense. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's actually a very interesting one. How many times do you like? How often are you seeing that being utilized as a
You
side hustle?
know, just to note it, I would say probably. I mean, it's hard because you have to qualify for it. A lot of my clients might make a little bit more, a little bit less, and to find the property within that boundary. So, of the ones that can qualify,
Mm.
I would say 20% of them take this opportunity to do it. So
Okay,
it's not super, super popular, but it's just another option out there for the government to help you with your down payment and lower your monthly.
okay, that's good.
Okay.
All right, so we had the other two that we had were RSP, using your
Mhm.
RSPs and tax-free savings accounts.
Yeah, so this one's
Okay.
called the home buyer's plan. So it's a home buyer's plan for RSP for down payment. So what this allows is that you can now use, you have to be a first-time home buyer. So make sure that you go to the GovBC website and know exactly what first-time home buyer is defined at. And I know Chad and his team will post that.
Mhm.
You can use your RSP up to $35,000. You can now use and take out and put it towards your down payment, and you don't have to pay that back for another 15 years. So your first time you have to start paying it back is 2 years after you've actually taken your RSP out to go towards your down payment. So you have 2 years of no payments to be remade. And then your accountant will start to build it into your income tax return on how much you owe per year based on now 13 years left in your amortization. If you
Mhm.
have another person, like say your partner is going in on this and they're a first-time home buyer, you can actually use up to $70,000 towards your down payment by using your first-time home buyer and your RSP as your down payment. So that's a pretty cool program. I'd say of the first-time home buyers that have RSPs, 9 times out of 10, they will use this and they can now pay it back over basically 15 years. It's tax-free, interest-free, and they just make lump sum payments at the end of their fiscal when they do their income tax.
Okay. Now was it 10 years or it is 15?
It's, you know what, the note that I gave you wasn't accurate. They've actually upped it to 15 years. So
Oh,
it's now
okay.
15 years.
I like that. That's great.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then the other one, the last one that we had. Oh, Jeff, you still there?
I am.
Oh, okay. I lost your picture. So there you go.
Yep.
Tax-free savings account.
Yes, sir. So this one's great. This is called the FHSA. This one's brand new to Canada this year and allows you to save up for your first home. So what you can do is you can make tax deductible contributions of up to 8 grand a year and up to a lifetime maximum of $40,000. And you can schedule an appointment with your banker at your financial institution that you deal with, and they can actually set up that account for you. This one's awesome because it's basically tax-free. Your contribution goes in and it just stays there. And then we need to pull it out and put it towards, then you actually don't get taxed. So this is a great program that a lot of people who are aware of it, they're jumping on it for sure, because it's one of those, whenever it says tax-free and you can do it, I recommend doing it.
Okay. That is really good. Well, Jeff, I just want to thank you so much for participating with us today. Now, of course, we're going to put it in the show notes, but if you could just give us some of your contact info.
Yes, of course. So contact info, I don't know if you can see my name there, but it's Jeff.Shinkewski, SHINKEWSKI at BMO.com. Cell phone number is 778-344-5565. I'm fully mobile. I'm here in the Okanagan, but I can actually lend anywhere in Canada. So from Victoria to Newfoundland and everything in between. So if you have any questions, any more comments about this, please feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to respond and connect.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Jeff, we look forward to having you again next time so we can find out some more things about how we can improving our situation so we can get into homes, because we know that we need help from the likes of you. So thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
For you as the listeners, thank you again for all the questions and everything that you've been passing on to us. We will get to a lot of those questions and get back to you as quick as we can on some more podcasts, and do hope that these are continuing to be beneficial for you. So if you get a chance, just click the link down below to subscribe to continue to hear all that we have to say. That'd be awesome. So from all of us here at Living the Dream Real Estate Group, we are here to help you live your dreams here in the Okanagan.